These chickens may look normal, but they've been bred to grow as fat and as fast as possible. Greedy chickens have heart rates as high as 300 beats a minute. They have a high metabolism and find it difficult to cool down.
In charge of solving the problem of overheated chickens is geneticist Dr. Avigdor Kahana.
As long as they are kept in cool environment, this is not a problem at all because this heat is dissipated through the legs, through the face, and that's sufficient. However, once the progeny of these birds are reared in the tropics in hot conditions, because the gradient in temperature between the body temperature and the ambience is so small, they can hardly dissipate the heat.
So it's as if I go to the tropics wearing a fur coat.
That's right.
And I just can't get cool enough.
That's right. Since I'm a geneticist, I was looking for a genetic solution. That means instead of cooling the environment of chickens with feathers, is helping them feel cool by just removing the feathers. So I decided to go to the extreme situation of developing broilers without feathers at all.
Can we have a look?
Sure, let's go.
All right. Chickens without the gene to make feathers. I'm fascinated to see what they look like. God, it's hot in here.
Yeah, it is hot.
And here they are, the featherless chickens. They look like miniature dinosaurs.
What we have here is that's the original mutant. This is a female.
She's amazingly smooth.
Yeah.
It's quite extraordinary.
This is the male.
So
And as you can see, no scales on the feet.
Right.
That's why the mutation is called scaleless.
They've got little claws on the ends of their wings. You can certainly imagine them as little miniature dinosaurs.
Yeah. Sexually mature males
They're bright red.
become red. It's an interaction between the sex hormone and the light,
I see.
which create this red
So
pigment.
it's testosterone plus light
Yeah,
turns you red.
That's right. These are adult birds. This is mature body size. They will never be bigger than this. When I started to cross birds like these ones
With the ones...
with the ones that we saw. Well, they try to flap. They still know how to flap.
I don't know, rather sweet. Having successfully bred small featherless chickens, Dr. Kahana wanted to see if he could create a big commercial-sized bird.
That was the challenge, and indeed we managed to do it, as you can see here.
He's huge.
This is an adult male.
absolutely huge.
This male is identical in body size to the males that we saw over there in the other house, which have full feathers. The only thing that we changed is that we took advantage of this gene, the scaleless gene, that eliminates or avoids the development of the feathers. And by doing this, we allowed these birds to grow nicely and comfortably in hot conditions.
These chickens are the result of Dr. Kahana's selective breeding program. And after 6 generations of mating the chickens with the featherless genes, this is what we've ended up with. I can imagine most people's reactions at seeing these chickens is one of revulsion. But if you were a chicken in 100-degree heat, you wouldn't want feathers, believe me. And anyway, they're not the first animal bred to have their natural covering removed. Look at pigs. Wild boar are furry. And even we humans were once apes, entirely covered in hair. So perhaps they're not as weird as they first seem. What is the future of these chickens? Are we going to see them in our supermarkets soon?
Hopefully in the supermarkets in the tropical countries, in Nigeria, in Indonesia, where it's very hot. For these farmers, it's easier and more efficient because there's no need...
You don't have to pluck them.
That's right. There's no need to pluck them. The proportion of meat on these birds is higher.
So featherless chickens in the tropics, they grow faster than a bird with feathers because they don't get held up by the fact they're getting too hot. They're healthier. They cost less because you don't have expensive housing. It sounds fantastic.
That's right.
Good for the person, good for the bird.
Selective breeding is just the first tool in our quest to control the natural world. But it still takes generations to accomplish and is quite imprecise. The big breakthrough really came when scientists could identify individual genes. Not only that, but they developed the technology to extract them.
One of the great discoveries of the last 20 years is that you can move a gene from one species into another entirely different one, which gives us almost limitless possibilities.
That's right. On our farm, it's time to enter the world of transgenics and genetic modification. It's time to enter the rabbit hutch. The man in charge of transgenics is Dr. Houdebeen. In the hutch, he's created dozens of transgenic rabbits.
So what does it mean, transgenic rabbits?
If you look at the word transgene, this means that a gene was transferred, a foreign gene was transferred to the animal.
So which gene have they got?
Well, it comes from a jellyfish from Pacific Ocean.
In case you missed that, Dr. Houdebeen has successfully used transgenics to insert a jellyfish gene into a rabbit.
And what does the gene do?
The gene gives green color to the jellyfish and then green color to the rabbits.
So the rabbits glow green in the dark?
Yes, absolutely.
Can I see?
Oh, sure.
Charged up with blue ultraviolet light and viewed through special glasses, the skin and the eyes of these rabbits glow green, just like a jellyfish.
Look.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
extremely green.
So the
That's
difference
amazing.
is great because they have red eyes
Yes.
in normal light and green with this light.
It looks quite peculiar, I must say.
Yeah.
This is no trick of the light. These rabbits' eyes and skin really do glow green. It's amazing what he's done.
This is transgenics in action. Scientists have managed to isolate a tiny bit of jellyfish DNA that makes them fluoresce, known as the GFP gene. Dr. Houdebeen has simply taken that gene and inserted it into bacteria. As the bacteria reproduce, the gene is multiplied. And then these genes are injected into the fertilized egg of a rabbit. Dr. Houdebeen then places the egg into the mother. As the egg grows to form the rabbit embryo, it copies the fluorescing gene into every cell. 31 days later, you've got fluorescent bunnies.
You may be surprised to hear that Dr. Houdebeen does all this with jellyfish genes he orders off the internet.
Because I find it still impressive. You know, that tube, very small, and you have a very, very tiny drop.
Yes.
And this is the gene itself that was injected in these animals. And with that small quantity that you can see,
Which is
you,
absolutely
you
tiny.
can micro-inject hundreds of embryos.
Dr. Houdebeen has a fresh litter for me to take a look at.
If we want to look and see them green, to take the spectacle and...
The effect of the GFP gene is even more pronounced in the newly born babies. Can I hold one?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow.
Most of them are green, but one or two of them are not green because the father was green, but not the mother. So statistically, half of them are green and the second half is not.
But why on earth, I hear you say, make animals that glow in the dark? Well, these rabbits are being bred to help medical researchers across the world track the movement of cells. The jellyfish genes are being used like a fluorescent marker pen. By tagging certain cells with the glowing jellyfish genes, scientists can work out which cells go where after an organ transplant. The technology is helping us find treatments for problems like blindness and bone disease. I think it's amazing that you can take a gene from a jellyfish and put it into a bacteria or a mushroom or a rabbit, and it works. It does the same thing it did in the jellyfish. And jellyfish and rabbits have been separated for more than 600 million years, and yet the jellyfish gene still works. I think that's incredible.
So transgenics can be useful for medical research. But what happens when it hits your dinner table? For our next stop, let's head to the fish farm to meet the genetically modified fish, our very own super salmon.